Hey there, Chip Nellinger with Blue Reef here. I want to talk to you about taming some of this market volatility that we've seen in the cattle markets and maybe turning that into your competitive advantage. One saying we have here at Blue Reef is turn the chaos into calm. That's what we always try to do. And we've certainly seen a lot of chaos in the cattle markets over the last several months in here. In fact, we've seen $40+ swing from all-time highs down into recent lows in cattle, almost $80 plus in the feeder cattle, and then a sharp rally thereafter coming into the end of the year. That volatility, if you don't have a plan of attack going into that type of volatility, that causes you to just go back on your heels, hunker down, and actually do nothing. Psychologically, you just kind of form a shell, you do nothing, and that oftentimes is the absolute wrong thing to do. So, how do you turn this volatility into potentially and get a competitive advantage? And the one factor that we think is just crucially important is to have a plan of attack, have a risk management plan in place with a plan A and a plan B. A plan A is if prices continue higher, we're going to do X. If, however, prices go a lot lower, we're going to do Y. And here's an example of that. If you had hedges in place, whether that be put spreads or a put type strategy using CME options, or a futures hedge, a short futures hedge, or even LRP, and you saw prices break $30, $40 off of news generated information, whether that's President Trump tweets or wanting to talk beef prices lower, whether that's rumors of the Mexican border reopening, tariffs being reduced to import beef in the United States, whatever that is, that caused that massive break we saw back in the early fourth quarter of 2025. Well, if you had hedges in place, there was certainly something to have been done at that point in time. You could do multitude of things. If you had short futures that were now deep in the money, you could either roll those down into puts, keep downside protection, and reopen the top side totally up. You could buy calls against those futures. If you had a put option spread, you could roll that spread down. Even if you had LRP, there are things to do via the options market to quote unquote roll that coverage lower and still maintain upside potential should the market rally into or retest those highs going into the new year. So it really starts with having a plan. You need to know what tools you're going to use. Is it LRP? Is it short futures? Is it some sort of a put strategy? Or is it a combination of all three? Nothing wrong with using all three and kind of piecemealing into some diversification from a couple different strategies. But that's not just set in stone. That's not just a one-time, we're going to put this in place and never look at it or manage it again. We have to be willing to use the volatility that we see in the markets to our advantage. And then after a couple maneuvers, if you see that volatility, you can actually put yourself in a better net risk position than if you had done nothing and left the hedges in place. So we feel it's very important, start out with some type of a plan. Know what your tools are going to be in the toolbox to use for your risk management and your hedging. Futures, LRP, options, all very viable options to use in that. And then be willing and able to adjust and maneuver that plan should conditions in the market change. Update that regularly. Don't let that volatility get to you psychologically and become something that keeps you from actually acting, because in the heat of the moment, having that risk management plan is going to be the difference between putting yourself ahead of the pack, using the volatility of the market to your competitive advantage, or being crushed by the volatility, sticking your head in the sand because you don't know what to do, and then being run over by the market, not knowing what the next plan of attack is. So if you're out there, you have a risk management plan, but you'd like a second set of eyes and ears to kind of review that, don't hesitate to hit the link below. Or if you don't have a plan of attack at all and you've been handcuffed by recent volatility and you want to know how to open up the doors a little bit, use that volatility to your advantage and kind of turn some of this chaos into calm, certainly reach out, contact us. We'd be happy to talk to you about that. Thanks a lot.